Hey, AJ.
Hello, Tony. Congratulations on a great show.
I'm glad you liked it. Thanks, man.
My question is, now that you've had an exploding barbed wire match, is there any pressure to try to top it in the future, and how would you top it?
Well, it's going to be, it's a very physically taxing match. I'm glad we didn't actually have to blow the guys up at the end, and that Kenny's master plan to exterminate Moxley, thankfully, he didn't finish it. And I think it would be a very tough match to top. I don't like beating the guys up and taking so much out of the guys. Like, I'm a wrestling purist at heart, but doing crazy stuff like this on pay-per-view sometimes is it's cool, it's fun, and it's different. And I think it'll be difficult to come up with something that would beat the guys up this much, but I think we were coming up on Double or Nothing and then got some great matches planned for Dynamite and some really fun stuff. And that's kind of the fun thing about wrestling, is watching the best wrestlers try to come up with new ways to beat the hell out of each other and do crazy, awesome things. And I think that's one of the great things about the art form of wrestling, is it's always finding ways to top itself. So I'm not sure yet how the guys will find a new crazy way to beat each other up, AJ, but I know that they will. And we'll do it safe. Thank you for asking. Is there anything else you want to ask while you're up, AJ?
No.
Okay, well, it was nice catching up with you. Thank you, AJ.
The next question will be from Sean Radican of PW Torch, followed by Jim Barcelone of the Miami Herald.
Good. Hey, Sean, I'm glad I saw you liked Scorpio Sky winning that match. I'm glad you liked that. I hope you liked the show.
Oh, Tony, like, I feel like you've watched a lot of the same stuff I've watched for years and years. So it's great to see some of these guys pay off their journeys. Yeah. It's so cool. I wanted to ask you about two questions. Ethan Page first. Here's a guy who's kind of a slow rise up the indies, but he's always had the talent on the microphone, and you see, his leveraging social media and YouTube, and going to Impact, and now he's under your belt. What are you looking forward to doing, most with him? Because I feel like Christian is an awesome signing, but I think like Ethan Page is something that long-term people will talk about.
That's right. Ethan Page will be here a very long time. I think Christian Cage is a great signing, but they're both great signings. And Ethan Page is definitely something we've had up our sleeves for a while, and I've been really looking forward to him getting that work visa, being over here for Revolution. We plan to feature him. I'll tell you the truth, from a booking standpoint, guys, it's been challenging this year, and I'm glad we got to this point. We were a little bit thin on heels based on the circumstances where the Dark Order, you saw 7 heels turn babyface overnight, and that's a big chunk of that part of the roster. And so I was looking forward to getting some more depth on that side, and you'll see Ethan Page come in here. He's a great promo, and I think on the heel side we'll see he's going to be a big help to us here, and he's going to make a big splash. And so I was really excited to get Ethan Page in. I think he's a great wrestler and a great promo, and he's going to be a great addition for us for the long term.
Thanks, Tony. Up next is Jim Barcelone, followed by Amy Nevedy. Unmuted. Enjoy.
Oh, thank you for doing these, Tony. Just 2 quick ones for you. I'm wondering first about Big Swole, an AEW Saturday Night Dark special that you had. She wants to be in that title hunt. Just what are your thoughts of where she is now and what we could see from her with AEW?
Well, she would have been a good contender in it. She was honest, I think, in there. She's had some flare-ups. She's a great wrestler. She's got a great personality. I think in the ring she's gotten better, and she can continue to get better. And she's had risen up. She had a great record, and in 2020 had risen up and reached the top contender at one point. She got a title shot, and she didn't beat Sheeta, but she had a great match, and she's had a lot of great matches. And I really like Swole. In 2021, she has not really been active because she's been sick, and she's had Crohn's disease keeping her out, so she has not been ranked. Because as you know, we reset the rankings every year consistently for everybody, and they're based as we get deeper and deeper into 2021 each year. As the weeks and months pass, the ranking becomes completely dependent on your record in that calendar year, and we're at that point now. So she hasn't really wrestled a lot in 2021. So for the Eliminator tournament, you know, she was actually out when we started the Eliminator tournament with her flare up of her Crohn's. So I think as she's getting healthy and hopefully we can consistently get her available and have her in action on a regular basis. And when she's a great asset to us.
And then lastly, about with Sting, I think, Tony, these cinematic type matches are really cool. And I also think it really works well with the legends. Is that something moving forward if you have older talent, and no disrespect to the older legends, but to do it in a cinematic tape type of way?
This was a perfect match for Sting, and I had planned to do this cinematic match for several months, dating back to when Steve and I first started talking about Sting debuting in AEW, you know, late 2020. And when I told Darby about this, he and I began kind of planning it out, and I gave him the basics of it and the finish and some key stuff. But like he said, I mean, he really did the heavy lifting on planning shots and storyboarding this thing. He's a great visionary, and that's what I always say, like, the great connections in wrestling, like when you really see the great creative partnerships, when there's somebody like that, a great star who has like a visionary and has a plan. And what I can do as a booker and a promoter and a TV producer is not only give him the resources, but like share a vision with him. And it's like I always say it, like there's not a person alive that I have less in common with than Darby in real life.
Muted.
But I know when he's got something that's cool, and he's often got really cool ideas, and I really like collaborating with him. And so it's just a really great pleasure to watch him work, and I enjoyed working with him on this.
The next question is from...
I just said, be remiss if I didn't say that. I just thought Sting did so great. And I don't know if I've mentioned it enough, but Sting, sorry to cut you off here. I just think Sting was so awesome in this match, and he's got a lot in the tank. And as you've seen in the segments we've done in Daly's place in the ring for the live crowd, he has got something in him, and I think the cinematic matches in the right circumstances can be great to protect the legends, but that's not to say Sting couldn't have a great match and might not. You know, you might see that. So I think the cinematic matches, we'll see Sting in those probably, but I wouldn't rule out seeing Sting wrestle again, because I think he's shown he's very capable of that. And I'm really proud of how hard he worked, and he deserves great accolades for what he did. And Team Taz really did a lot through this program to keep this thing hot, and they worked really hard in this match too, Brian and Ricky and everybody.
Next up is Amy Nemedy of WrestleJoy, and
Hi,
then
Amy.
Bill Stazuski of the New York Post.
Amy, you're muted. Hi, Tony. Thank you so much. It's Amy. Hi.
Oh, hey, Amy. Sorry, I didn't know.
Thank you so much for taking all of our questions so late after the show. So last year's Revolution obviously won awards for the best show in wrestling all year. You had mentioned it was your favorite wrestling show of the year, one of them. How did this year's Revolution stack up to last year's Revolution in your mind as a fan and as a booker, obviously, of your own show, with the variety that you had in this year's Revolution and how the storytelling played out?
It was a great show. It's, you know, different circumstances, the pre-pandemic shows versus the post-pandemic shows, but in the environment, I thought this was an excellent show. I can't wait to get back to when we're packing arenas, but I thought the support of the 1,300 fans we had here in Daly's place for the live crowd was tremendous. And, you know, it's not quite what we had last year at Revolution in terms of the packed arena. It's, you know, it's a different environment, and that added a lot, but I thought it was a great crowd tonight, and they made for a great show. And I'm excited at Double or Nothing. Hopefully, as things get better, we'll be able to up the capacity in here for an outdoor show and, you know, get closer and closer to what that crowd provides. But the wrestlers were tremendous. We had some great matches, saw some really cool stuff, and it's, you know, been a great pay-per-view for us that sets the bar high for the rest of 2021 for sure.
Thanks, Tony. And now for the last question, as per custom, we've spun the wheel, and Joe Staduski of the New York Post is up. Joe, the floor is yours.
I get to finish this. I know, Tony, you explained obviously why the end of Moxley Omega went the way it was, but is there any concern for the people who just turns off the pay-per-view, maybe didn't see the social media, maybe thinking that moment was the way maybe it wasn't supposed to go that way, or it under-delivered for them in that moment because they may not get the storytelling in it or see the addition to what came after the pay-per-view?
No, that makes sense. I mean, I think most of the people, I'd say like the vast majority of people who go to the pay-per-views do watch Dynamite. So, we'll address that for sure, because we definitely addressed the construction of the chamber. You saw Kenny building it kind of crudely with a hammer and nails and stuff. And then when he released the rules, he did it with crayon, and it looked really cool, and it looked like a great idea. But, in the end, his plan as far as the wrestling aspect of it worked. He's a great tactician in terms of wrestling. When came to hang with Moxley, and really at the end, it really came down to having the Good Brothers come in and help him win the match. But when it comes to building exploding rings, that is definitely not his forte. And the crayon drawings and the hammering, like Garth in Wayne's World with a hammer on the hand. I don't know if anybody gets that reference. Does anybody get that reference? Garth in Wayne's World. All that construction stuff. Clearly, the final explosion was not enough to take out Moxley and Kingston, which is good because we need Moxley and Kingston in one piece. And if the ring had exploded them, we would be in real trouble. So I'm glad it didn't blow them up completely. So it gave us kind of an out there with Kenny being in charge of the construction, since we couldn't actually blow the guys up for real.
And then my last one is adding Paul and Christian and Sting and some of these other... When you're launching new programming, how important are those guys to potentially getting new eyes, just from the sheer name recognition on some of those programs, whether they're wrestling or commentating?
Well, I know that we've gotten... right now, we've had the preliminary streaming numbers are record high. I think this could be one of our highest bought shows, if not the highest bought show we've ever had. It's definitely going to do very, very well. And I have to thank the audience for that. And, so I hats off to our audience once again. The early returns are that this was, a big success. So is that pretty much, is there something else you wanted to ask me, Jim?
No, I just think obviously Paul's going to be part of a new show. And you can put...
I think that they're, the combination of Sting's arrival and his comeback match and all the great matches on this card, and then the star power coming in with Paul and the arrival of a new star, plus debut in the ladder match with Ethan Page. I mean, familiar faces. I said we're going to come in and some new faces. And I think that's true, and that's going to be consistent the rest of the year. I would be remiss if I didn't leave the scrum without promising everyone this, which is that in this year, 2021, I guarantee you, I am going to have some aces up my sleeve this year. You are going to see some cool stuff. You are going to see stuff you did not expect to see. This is the beginning. And I really appreciate everybody who tuned into the show tonight, everyone that streamed it and ordered it on pay-per-view and is here live. I promise it's going to be a great year for AEW. I can't wait until we get more and more fans in the arena. I'm glad we got out of the show tonight without any really serious bad injuries, because, there's a lot of scary matches on the show. And everybody did a great job in the ring. And, I'm just really appreciate that. The fans live were great. And, again, I'm just really grateful we had a record pay-per-view audience. And so it was a great night for us.
Thanks, Tony.
And those guys, Jim, so I think they had a lot to do with it. And I think as we develop more programming, sorry, I hope that describes it. But as we launch, a new extension of the Dark brand with Elevation, and later this year we're launching another new show on TNT. So absolutely having some fan favorites and familiar faces to all wrestling fans is important. These are all guys that are going to be important to us. Sting and Christian Cage in the ring, and Paul White at first as a host, but also I do expect he will return to the ring for us as well. And then we have this great roster of stars that are on top of their game right now, great stars, and also all these young wrestlers that are on the verge of breaking through. And really, even behind them, guys that are on the verge of being on the verge of breaking through, which is pretty awesome. So I think everyone can see the depth here. And it's a great time for us to expand our programming. And so having more star power is a very good thing, and it's not going to stop. Christian Cage is a huge addition. Paul White was a huge addition. Sting was a huge addition. Just like early in the year, we made huge additions. We added Matt Hardy, we added Mr. Brody Lee, and Brian Cage in the first half of last year, and I think we'll add big names in the first half of this year, and then you'll see a lot of crazy stuff throughout the year, I promise. Thank you to everybody who supports us. Thank you to everyone who's been loyal to us. I really appreciate it, and I promise we will keep working hard for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.